The first thing we noticed about the woods was how quiet they were. No birds, no wind, nothing, just silence. Me, Derek, and Matt had driven almost 4 hours north to camp near an abandoned ranger trail deep in northern Michigan. Derek found the place online. No official campground, no nearby roads, no cell service, just woods, endless woods. Honestly, it looked perfect. When we got there around sunset, everything felt normal. We built a fire, cooked hot dogs, drank beer. Matt kept joking that the place looked like the beginning of a horror movie. At the time, we laughed. The rain started sometime after midnight, light at first, just enough to hear droplets hitting the tent overhead. I woke up around 2:14 a.m. because Derek whispered my name. Tim. I opened my eyes. What? He stayed completely still, then whispered, "Listen." At first I only heard rain, then crunch, footsteps. Slow footsteps moving through wet leaves outside the tent. Not an animal, too heavy, too deliberate. Crunch, crunch, crunch. The footsteps slowly circled our campsite. Nobody spoke. I could hear all three of us breathing inside the dark tent. Then the footsteps stopped directly behind us. Silence. And then came the sound I still hear in my nightmares. Scrape. Something dragging slowly across the outside of the tent, like fingernails against fabric. Slow. Careful. Moving from one side to the other. Matt whispered, "Nope, nope, nope." Derek grabbed the flashlight. The scraping instantly stopped. For maybe 10 seconds, everything outside went completely silent. Then, bang! Something slammed into the side of the tent so hard the poles bent inward. Matt screamed. Derek switched the flashlight on immediately and pointed it toward the tent wall. Nothing there, no shadow, no person, nothing. But outside, the footsteps started again. Walking away from camp, crunch, crunch, crunch. I finally unzipped the tent and looked outside. Rain, trees, darkness. That's it. Then Derek suddenly whispered, "Don't move." About 30 feet away, something was standing between the trees. Tall. Way too tall. At first I thought it was another tree trunk, until it leaned sideways from behind one of the pines. Watching us, its arms hung too low, almost to its knees. Then lightning flashed above the woods, and it was suddenly gone. We didn't sleep after that. The second the sun came up, we packed our stuff, and that's when we found the footprints. Bare footprints, huge ones, pressed deep into the mud around our campsite, circling the tent over and over again, like something had spent hours walking around us while we slept. Matt immediately wanted to leave. Honestly, I did too. But Derek kept talking about the old fire tower deeper down the ranger trail. Said maybe somebody homeless was living out there. Eventually, curiosity got the better of us. So around noon, we followed the trail deeper into the woods. The farther we walked, the quieter everything became. No birds, no insects, nothing. Even the wind disappeared. After almost 40 minutes, we finally saw the tower through the trees. Old, rust-covered. Crooked stairs twisting upward into the forest canopy. And hanging halfway down the railing was a backpack, bright orange, swinging slowly in the breeze. Derek stopped walking immediately. "Dude!" Attached to the backpack was a missing persons poster, rain-damaged, half-torn, but the face was still visible. Evan Morris, missing for 19 days. Matt whispered, "Why would somebody hang that there?" Then Derek noticed the cameras, trail cameras, strapped to trees all around the tower, fresh ones, at least 20 of them, all pointed directly toward the trail, watching anyone who approached. That's when we heard movement above us, slow footsteps, coming from inside the tower. We looked up, and for 1 second, something moved behind the dirty windows at the top, tall, skinny, watching us. Matt immediately backed away. "Nope, we're leaving." But right before we turned around, a speaker somewhere above us crackled with static. Then a voice whispered, "Subscribe to Insomniac." Static burst again. Then, "It watches the campers first." Every trail camera around the tower suddenly flashed at the exact same time, one after another. Flash, 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 like they were taking pictures of us. Derek yelled, "Run!" We sprinted back down the trail, and that's when the woods exploded with camera flashes. Not one or two, dozens, hidden deep between the trees. Flash, 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 like the entire forest was watching us. Matt screamed behind me, "Why are there so many?" Branches snapped somewhere beside us, something huge moving through the woods, parallel to the trail, keeping pace with us. I looked left once and saw something tall weaving between the trees, its head nearly level with broken branches high above us. Then Derek suddenly stopped dead in the middle of the trail. I almost slammed into him. "What?" He pointed toward a tree ahead. Another missing persons poster was nailed to it, but this one looked brand new, clean, dry. 3 photos attached beneath the word, "Missing." Me, Derek, Matt, all taken that morning at camp. My stomach dropped. Under our pictures, somebody had written, "New arrivals." Then the tower speaker crackled again somewhere deep in the woods behind us. Static. Then, "Smile for the cameras." Every hidden trail camera flashed at once, and from somewhere deep in the forest, we heard people screaming. Story 2. The first thing I noticed about the motel was the police scanner. It sat behind the front desk, quietly crackling nonstop. Static, dispatch calls, road accidents, domestic fights, missing people. The old man behind the counter never looked away from it, not once. I only stopped there because of the storm. Rain was coming down so hard I could barely see the highway anymore. The motel sat off a dead stretch of road in northern Ohio. One flickering neon sign. 6 rooms. No other cars in the parking lot except an old rusted pickup truck. Honestly, the place looked abandoned, but the vacancy sign still glowed red through the rain. I should have kept driving. The second I walked inside the office, something felt wrong. The smell hit first. Cigarettes, mold, and something metallic underneath it, like old blood. The man behind the desk looked about 70. Thin gray hair, yellow teeth, dark circles under his eyes. And sitting beside him was the police scanner. Static crackled through it every few seconds. He looked up slowly when I entered, then asked, "You traveling alone?" Something about the way he said it made my stomach tighten. Not friendly, not casual, like he already knew the answer. I nodded. "Yeah, just need a room for the night." The scanner suddenly crackled. "Dispatch to county units. Vehicle rollover on Highway 8. The old man smiled. Actually smiled, then turned the volume louder. I remember thinking, what kind of person enjoys listening to police calls? He handed me a room key. Room 4. As I walked outside, I noticed every room window was dark except mine. No people, no movement, just rain hammering the parking lot. Inside the room, things got worse. The carpet smelled damp. The wallpaper peeled off the walls. The TV barely worked. But what bothered me most was the sound. A faint scratching noise coming from inside the wall near the bed. Scratch, scratch, scratch. At first I thought mice. Then I realized it sounded too deliberate, almost rhythmic, like somebody dragging something slowly across the wall from the other side. I barely slept. Around 2 a.m., I woke up to voices outside. I looked through the blinds. The motel owner stood near the office holding a flashlight, and beside him was another man wearing a dark raincoat. The scanner crackled loudly through the office window. "Dispatch. Officers responding to possible fatality." The old man suddenly looked toward my room, then pointed at it. That's when the guy in the raincoat started walking toward me. Slowly. I stepped back from the window immediately. Every instinct in my body screamed, "Run." Then I heard it again. Scratch, inside the wall, closer this time. I grabbed my flashlight and aimed it toward the vent beside the bed, and I swear to God, something moved behind it, an eye looking directly at me. I stumbled backward so hard I hit the dresser. Then came a knock at the door. 3 slow knocks. Knock, knock, knock. The motel owner's voice whispered, "Police said the roads are flooded." Long silence. Then, "You'll have to stay the night." The scanner behind him crackled again. "County dispatch. Missing traveler reported." Then static. Then the old man laughed quietly outside my door. I locked myself in the bathroom and called 911. But there was no signal. None. That's when I noticed the newspaper clippings taped beside the mirror. Dozens of them. Missing travelers, missing hikers, missing truck drivers, all from highways near the motel, all unsolved. And written across the mirror in black marker were the words, "He hears them first." Suddenly, the bathroom light shut off, pitch black. Then I heard movement inside the wall beside me, not scratching anymore, breathing, slow breathing, right beside my head. I ran for the door and bolted outside barefoot into the rain. The parking lot was empty now. No motel owner, no man in the raincoat, nothing, except the police scanner still crackling inside the office. And over the static, I heard a voice whisper, "Subscribe to Insomniac." Then another voice quietly said, "He already knows where you are." I kicked the bathroom door open and ran barefoot into the rain. The parking lot was empty now. No motel owner, no man in the raincoat, nothing. Just rain hammering the pavement. But inside the office, the police scanner kept crackling, static, dispatch calls. Then suddenly, "County dispatch to all units. Possible body discovered near Route 12. The scanner volume turned up by itself. I froze. And that's when I noticed the old pickup truck was gone. Headlights suddenly appeared at the far end of the highway. The truck, coming back fast, way too fast. Mud sprayed across the parking lot as it slid sideways near the motel office. The motel owner jumped out holding something wrapped in plastic. Long, heavy. He dragged it inside quickly, then looked directly at me and smiled. I ran, straight into the woods behind the motel. Rain soaked everything instantly, branches whipping my face, mud everywhere. But behind me, I could hear the scanner. Louder now, like he had portable speakers hidden outside. "Dispatch, female caller report screaming near Route 12. Static." Then another voice came through, crying, begging for help. The old man's voice suddenly echoed through the woods behind me. "You hear them before they disappear?" I kept running until I saw lights ahead. An old maintenance shed near the back of the property. I slammed the door shut behind me and shoved a rusted shelf against it. That's when I saw the walls. Photographs, hundreds of them. People sleeping in motel rooms. People showering. People sitting on beds. All secretly photographed. Some pictures had dates going back almost 20 years. Then I found the map. A giant highway map covered in pins. Every pin marked where somebody vanished. Truck drivers, travelers, runaways. All connected to roads near the motel. And sitting beside the map was a police scanner recorder. The old man had been recording dispatch calls for years, listening for stranded drivers, accidents, people traveling alone, hunting them. That's when something moved behind me. I turned slowly and saw the man in the raincoat standing in the corner of the shed, motionless, holding a hammer. His face looked wrong, like he'd been living underground. Then the motel owner's voice crackled through a speaker hidden somewhere above me. Room 4 almost made it farther than the others. The man stepped toward me slowly. I grabbed the shelf and shoved it into him hard enough to knock him backward. Then I ran again, straight through the woods toward the highway. And I swear to God, while I was running, I started hearing voices everywhere around me. Not real voices, recordings, hidden speakers tied to trees, people screaming, begging, crying, victims. The old man had turned the woods into a maze of recorded screams. Then headlights suddenly appeared ahead. Police. I ran into the road screaming for help. 2 deputies stopped immediately. I kept yelling about the motel, the scanner, the shed, the missing people. The deputies looked at each other strangely. Then one finally said, "Sir, that motel burned down in 1998. My stomach dropped. I turned toward the woods, and there was nothing there anymore. No motel, no sign, no lights, just dark trees. Then the deputy quietly asked, "If you stayed there tonight?" He paused. How did you get this? He handed me something I hadn't even noticed in my pocket. Room key. Room 4. The banging started at exactly 3:12 a.m. At first I thought it was machinery. The rail yard was full of noise at night, forklifts, metal chains, containers shifting, engines idling in the distance. But this sound was different. 3 loud bangs, then silence. Bang, 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 like somebody trapped inside metal. I'd been working overnight security at the shipping yard for almost 6 months. The place sat near the docks outside Baltimore, miles of stacked containers, floodlights, fog rolling in from the water every night. Honestly, the whole place already felt creepy after dark, especially Container Yard C. That section always had problems: missing inventory, broken cameras, workers refusing to patrol there alone. One guy quit after claiming he heard voices coming from inside sealed containers. Everybody laughed at him, until he disappeared 2 weeks later. At 3:12 a.m. the banging came again, closer this time. I grabbed my flashlight and started walking between the container rows. The fog was thick enough to swallow the light. Every stack towered over me like walls. Red containers, blue containers, rust everywhere. Then, bang, directly ahead. I stopped beside container C341. The metal door rattled slightly. Something hit it from inside. My stomach tightened immediately. I radioed dispatch. Possible trespasser inside container C341. Static crackled back. Then dispatch answered. Negative. C341 is empty. Another bang exploded from inside the container. Not possible. I checked the seal. Still locked, untouched. Then I heard it. A voice, weak, barely audible through the metal. "Help me!" Every hair on my arm stood up. I shouted, "Who's in there?" Silence, then scratching. Slow scratching from inside the container walls. I immediately called my supervisor. He sounded irritated more than concerned. Told me to wait for maintenance, but while I waited, I noticed something strange. The container number looked freshly painted, like somebody had changed it recently. The paint around the numbers still dripped slightly. That's when yard camera 12 suddenly shut off. Black screen, then camera 11, then camera 10, one by one. Every camera facing container yard C went offline. I radioed dispatch again. No answer, just static. Then through the static, I heard whispering, multiple voices, crying, begging. I backed away from the container slowly, and that's when I saw someone standing at the end of the row. Tall man, orange reflective jacket, hard hat, completely motionless. I yelled, "Hey!" No response. Then lightning flashed above the yard, and he was suddenly gone. I swear he disappeared. That's when the container door slammed from the inside so hard the entire thing shook. Bang. "Please!" A woman screaming now. "Don't let them take us!" The voice cut off instantly, then silence. I didn't care about procedure anymore. I grabbed the emergency bolt cutters from the wall station nearby and cut the seal. The second the lock dropped, my radio exploded with static. Then a voice whispered through it, "Subscribe to Insomniac?" Another voice immediately followed. "Before they ship you too." The container doors slowly creaked open. Darkness inside. My flashlight barely reached the back wall. At first I thought it was empty. Then I noticed the scratches. Thousands of them covering the inside walls. Names carved into the metal, dates, messages. "Please help us. We never left the port. Don't fall asleep." My breathing got heavier the farther I stepped inside. That's when my flashlight landed on the floor. Handprints, dozens of them, pressed into dried blood, and sitting in the corner was a small pink shoe, child-sized. Then I heard movement behind me. I spun around fast, but nobody was there. Just fog outside the open doors. Then my flashlight flickered, and for one split second, I saw people standing inside the container with me. Thin, pale, motionless, packed shoulder to shoulder in the darkness, watching me. The light came back instantly, gone. I ran out immediately, and nearly slammed into my supervisor. Except, he wasn't alone. 3 men stood beside him, none wearing company badges. One of them quietly asked, Who opened the container? Something about his voice made my blood freeze. Not angry, calm, like this had happened before. My supervisor grabbed my arm hard enough to hurt, then whispered, "You should have left it sealed." That's when every floodlight in Yard C shut off at once. Darkness swallowed the entire shipping yard. Then the screaming started. Not close, far away, inside other containers, all around us. Banging erupted everywhere. Rows and rows of containers shaking in the dark. Bang, 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 people screaming for help. Hundreds of voices. One of the men yelled, "Get him!" I ran, straight through the fog between the container rows. Behind me, I could hear boots chasing me. Then suddenly, every container speaker in the yard crackled alive. A woman's voice calmly announced, "Shipment 14 is awake." Red emergency lights switched on across the yard. Container doors all around me slowly started opening by themselves, one after another. Creak, creak, creak. Figures began stepping out into the fog. Weak, skinny, barefoot. Some still wearing hospital bracelets, others staring blankly ahead like they didn't even know where they were. Then I saw the tall man again, standing on top of the containers above me, watching. And this time, he smiled. I finally made it to the front security gate just as police arrived. I kept screaming about the containers, the people, the men chasing me. But when officers searched Yard C, everything was gone. No open containers, no people, no blood, nothing. Just normal shipping inventory. Police thought I was losing my mind. Until one officer walked over holding my flashlight. He looked disturbed, then handed it to me silently. Scratched into the side of the flashlight were fresh words I know weren't there before. Shipment 15.